Today, I bring you a horror film so terrifying, so gruesome, that it will send chills down your spine. This movie is not just another scary tale, it's a blood-soaked nightmare. The story begins inside a police van transporting several dangerous criminals. Everything seems under control, until one of the inmates requests a bathroom break. The van driver, obsessed with listening to music, refuses to pause the tunes, claiming he becomes anxious without them. Suddenly, chaos erupts. A masked, brutal killer ambushes the police van. But this is no ordinary murderer. This is a monster who doesn't just kill. He torments, he toys with his victims before ending their lives. In a matter of moments, this masked butcher, infamously known as the Piglet Killer, slaughters half of the prisoners. He doesn't stop there. He murders a police officer and even slays his own friend's mother. The sheer brutality is horrifying. Now the focus shifts to Jack, one of the remaining inmates who, in desperation, pulls out a sharp knife to defend himself. But Jack's momentary lapse in alertness becomes his doom. The killer breaks free from his handcuffs, lunges at Jack, and strangles him with terrifying strength. Then, in a frenzy of violence, he stabs Jack repeatedly until finally decapitating him with a single, ferocious slash. The sight is so gruesome that a female police officer nearby is paralyzed with fear. She can't even raise her gun to defend herself. Within seconds, the killer swings his chains and kills another man. Now no one knows where or when this merciless killer will strike again. Meanwhile, the driver of the police van becomes the next target. After carrying out this massacre, the killer returns to his hideout. There, he dons his infamous pig mask, a grotesque, custom-made disguise. From this point on, he fully transforms into the Piglet Killer, a name whispered in fear. The story takes a turn, the girls in the forest. The scene now shifts to a group of 5 young women venturing into a remote forest for a fun getaway. They chat casually about the legend of the Piglet Killer, brushing it off as mere rumor. They have no idea that the nightmare is real. Deciding to stay overnight, they book a remote wooden cabin online. Upon arriving, an eerie feeling creeps over them. It's far more desolate than they had expected. When Jej, a local who knows the area, hears of their plan, he is stunned. He warns them, this area is dangerous, especially for young women. But as is often the case, the more people hear warnings about bloodshed, the more they're drawn to these places out of disbelief or curiosity. Ignoring Jej's pleas, the girls use their phone's navigation and rush toward the campsite. Jej simply watches in silence. They reach the rustic cabin, surrounded by thick woods. Unaware, they have just stepped into a deadly trap. Lacey, one of the girls, notices something, or someone, standing at a distance wearing a pig mask. But when she blinks, he's gone. She dismisses it as a trick of the mind. Inside the cabin, they try to find the owner. They knock and call out, but no one answers. Suddenly, a stranger appears, claiming to be the owner's friend. The girls are alarmed by his sudden arrival, but since they booked the cabin online, they don't question his identity too much. Elsewhere in the forest, 3 more travelers are making their way toward the same campsite, but their car breaks down in the middle of nowhere. With no choice left, they begin walking. Among them is a girl who loves to paint. As the group pauses, she starts sketching the picturesque forest, unaware that this will be her final piece of art. Her sister and brother-in-law wait nearby, but the next moment is pure horror. From behind the bushes, the Piglet Killer emerges. He plunges a sharp iron hook into the girl's body, tearing her apart. Her screams echo through the forest. Back at the cabin, the 5 girls are drinking and relaxing. They remain clueless about the horror unfolding outside. Yet, they sense something is wrong. They feel as though someone is watching them. Shaoi, one of the girls, drinks too much and goes to lie down. Suddenly, a loud crashing sound of glass shattering jolts her awake. She cautiously moves toward the noise, and what she sees leaves her frozen with fear. She rushes to get loud Jej and demands they call the police. But Jej remains oddly calm. He dismisses it as a wild animal attack. Despite Jej's downplaying, suspicions arise. Could it really be the Piglet Killer? The police arrive but scoff at the idea of a masked killer. They suggest it might have been a bear attack, but reality couldn't be further from their assumptions. Disappearances begin. Later that night, one of the sisters realizes her sister-in-law has vanished. Panicked, she searches everywhere. Behind the bushes, she finds a blood-drenched corpse, her sister-in-law's. Paralyzed with terror, she turns to run, but a severed human hand suddenly falls out of the shrubbery. Screaming, she flees blindly, not realizing a beast lurks below her feet. Now the story shifts to Bowen and Earring Girl. Earring Girl fears that Xiaoyi is in danger and sends Jinfa and Xiaoyi away. Meanwhile, Bowen discovers an old photograph, suspecting Earring Girl might be nearby. As she investigates, she comes across an abandoned warehouse. Inside, she finds Earring Girl tied up. Bowen tries to rescue her, but Earring Girl urgently tells her to hide. The Piglet killer and his accomplices could return any moment, and they do. They capture Earring Girl again, this time locking her inside a large rice container. Bowen hides, her eyes wide with terror. Earring Girl struggles to breathe, thinking her end is near. Meanwhile, two girls secretly catch Jiej spying on them. He was the inside man. One of them heads to the cabin to take a shower, unaware that Jiej has sneaked into her room. She turns around, only to see death staring her in the face. Moments later, Jiej's mutilated body lies in pieces. The nightmare reaches its peak. Now Xiaoyi and Aaron return to the cabin and are horrified to find everyone missing. A heavy silence fills the air. They try to call the police, but their vehicle suddenly stalls. Left with no other option, they split up to search. Meanwhile, a girl stumbles upon the Piglet killer's warehouse. She sees another girl with golden hair limping toward her. She pretends to be seriously injured to gain sympathy, and the golden-haired girl rushes to help. But it's a trap. The Piglet killer appears from behind, grabs her by the hair, and smashes her skull with a giant hammer. Everything fades to black. A final stand. Earring Girl and her sister are still searching for the missing. An ominous dread looms over them. Suddenly, they see the Piglet killer dragging a corpse. Panicked, they flee in different directions. One hides in a bathroom, holding her breath. But within seconds, the killer grabs someone with his hook, possibly ending another life. Just as all hope seems lost, Earring Girl returns, rescuing her sister. They flee, running through the darkness. Then a boy with a shotgun yells and shoots the killer. The Piglet killer falls. Jinfa Xiaoyi, terrified after firing his first shot, collapses in shock. But instead of gratitude, Aaron points a gun at him. Suspicious and unwilling to trust anyone, she demands he help them escape if he's innocent. As they prepare to leave, the Piglet killer suddenly opens his eyes. The bullet had no effect. Xiaoyi is tied with ropes, pleading for his life. "You're wrong. This is all Jiej's plot," he screams. He reveals that Jiej had been luring victims to the forest for years, until the Piglet killer warned him to stop. But Jiej didn't listen. Xiaoyi insists that all the disappearances are Jiej and Piglet's doing. But Aaron and Xiaomei don't believe him. Then, Jiej himself arrives and pins the entire blame on Xiaoyi. "Look," he says coldly, "here's the real killer." This film is not just a horror story. It's a psychological nightmare filled with betrayal, survival, and brutal violence. The Piglet killer is more than a man. He's a manifestation of terror. With a plot full of twists and shocking moments, this horror masterpiece keeps you gripped until the very last breath.